People who've been through abusive relationships deserve to be treated with gentleness, care, and compassion. The chances are you agree with that statement. If you've been through an abusive relationship, you deserve to be treated with gentleness, care, and compassion. Do you still agree? If you've been through an abusive relationship, you might find that you're highly critical and judgmental of yourself. You might be frustrated with yourself, thinking you might have done something to deserve the abuse, or that you were really stupid to find yourself in this situation in the first place. If that's how you feel, please know that you're not alone and that this is a really common experience after narcissistic and other forms of abuse. My name's Ruth Ann. I'm a clinical psychologist. I'm an expert in relationships and issues of narcissism. And in this video, I'm going to talk about how building self-compassion can help you become a good friend to yourself and to extend to yourself the same care, gentleness, and compassion that you think other people who've been through abusive relationships deserve. How do you talk to yourself about what you've been through? Do you talk to yourself with an attitude of gentleness, understanding, respect, wanting to make sense of what you've experienced and think about how you can take care of yourself and your well-being in the future? Or do you speak to yourself with judgment, with harshness, and with criticism? How would you speak to a friend who was in the same situation as you? The chances are that you would not speak to your friend with the same kind of criticism and harshness with which you might speak to yourself. Imagine you had a friend who followed you around all day, talking to you the way you talk to yourself. If your friend followed you around saying how stupid you are, how you probably did something to deserve it, how you're pretty terrible at relationships, and that probably this is all your fault at the end of the day, the chances are you'd be feeling even more miserable, defeated, and depressed. And maybe you'd be full of self-hatred and judgment for yourself. Now imagine you had a really good friend who followed you around and treated you well, who spoke to you with kindness, gentleness, and understanding. What a difference would that make in your life? You're with yourself 24/7, so the way you talk to yourself is going to have an enormous impact on how you are. Self-compassion is really about becoming a good friend to yourself, giving yourself the care, gentleness, and compassion that you would give a really good friend. It's not unusual when I talk to people about building self-compassion that they're a bit put off, that they see it as a bit wishy-washy or a bit wimpy. But being a good friend is anything but wet and wimpy. How would a good friend treat you as you're going through what you're going through? Maybe they'd make you nourishing food and help you restore yourself physically. Maybe they'd make a comfortable and safe place for you to sleep in and to get really good rest, to restore yourself physically and mentally. They might create a space for you to share your emotions, even your most painful ones, in a way that you know will be heard and understood without judgment and without criticism. Your friend might encourage you to make wise decisions that serve your interests and your well-being in the future, even if those decisions are difficult and challenging right now. A really good friend will see your potential and see your strength and have faith in you, even when you might be losing faith in yourself. A good friend is there with you, supporting you, not judging you, and not looking down on you for what you've experienced. They see your struggles, they see your fears, they see the mistakes that you've made and the regrets that you might have, and they still don't judge you. Fundamentally, they still see the good in you, they still respect you, and they still see you in a positive light. Kristin Neff is a leading psychologist in the field of self-compassion. I'll link to some of her resources in the description of this video. And she talks about there being two kinds of compassion. The first kind is what we usually think about. It's that warm, nurturing, caretaking side of us. The part of us that can really be soft, gentle, tender, and take care of ourselves or someone else when they're hurting, when they're in pain. And of course, if you've been through abuse, you're hurting and in pain, and you need that kind of gentle, soft, soothing energy to help you take care of yourself, to help you heal and to recover. But the second kind of self-compassion is fierce compassion. Compassion that's more mama bear energy, that's fiercely protective and strong. It's the kind of compassion that drives a firefighter into a burning building, taking big risks, strong and determined to save other people. Now, a firefighter doesn't rush into buildings stupidly. They're skilled, they have training, and they build themselves up to do their job well. But so too, you need to develop that fierce self-compassion, to take care of yourself, to be assertive, to insist on your needs being met, and to keep yourself safe from people who might abuse you now and in the future. When I describe this to people, they'll often be willing to give it a go, but it's not unusual for them to come back and actually end up really frustrated with themselves, because building self-compassion is difficult, especially if you're in the habit of beating yourself up. And in fact, I've often found that people will use the very tools I suggest to help them build self-compassion to become another stick to beat themselves up with, to tell themselves, well, look at you, you're so stupid you can't even do self-compassion correctly. That is such a heartbreaking place to be. And really what I'd like you to do, if that's the situation you find yourself in, is to have compassion, that building self-compassion is just so difficult for you right now. Honor that that's the situation you're in, that building self-compassion is really hard, and be grateful that despite all of this, there is still a part of you that is deeply committed to your well-being and is prepared to give this a go and to foster a new, a more compassionate relationship with yourself. When self-compassion is really difficult, and especially if you've just come out of an abusive relationship and you have so many other things to deal with, you really don't want extra tasks added to your day or extra exercises to do. And that's why I suggest starting really small and really practical. Think about how you can use daily activities that you're already doing as opportunities to take good care of yourself. So if you were taking care of a small child, how would you brush their teeth? Would you do it with gentleness, with respect, smiling at them, talking at them, being encouraging to them? When you prepare a meal, would you do so with softness, with tenderness, with a sense of, I'm giving this to you as a means to nourish you and for you to enjoy and get pleasure from? When you put a small child to bed, you don't just throw them under the covers and leave them there. You tuck them in nicely. You speak to them gently. You check in with them about how their day is going. You commiserate with them if they're having a difficult time, and you celebrate and tell them how proud you are when things are going well. See if you can find a few moments in your day where you can intentionally treat yourself with care, compassion, and respect. There's also a link in the description to an exercise that I developed specifically for people in this situation, which talks you through how to drink a cup of tea in a way that is very soft and compassionate. If you don't like tea, it's not a problem. You can adapt the exercise and use coffee or a cold drink or anything else that you like. In this exercise, I talk you through how to prepare and drink a cup of tea in a way that's really caring, nurturing, and nourishing. I'd be honored if you would join me in doing that, to take this step in your process of healing and becoming a really good friend to yourself, a friend who can take care of you, who can soothe you, who can be with you, and who can be strong and sturdy and help you make wise and courageous decisions in your own best interests. Be patient with yourself and understand that building self-compassion is really difficult, especially if you've been through narcissistic abuse and had your self-esteem and your personhood and everything about you systematically eroded and undermined by someone. It's going to take time and patience to build a solid and healthy relationship with yourself, and that's okay. Good relationships take time to build, so be patient with yourself and be compassionate with yourself if that is a challenging process for you. I hope this is helpful. I'd love to hear your experiences of building self-compassion and maybe some creative ways that you might have found to nurture and take care of yourself. Please do hit the subscribe button, and I look forward to seeing you next time. In the meantime, take good care.